Moving on to the UCLA Bruins. We're getting out to the West Coast, guys. Eric Bieniemy, 1 year as the offensive coordinator, he was fired, and because the Bruins finished third worst with points per game, 18.4 points per game, they're bringing in Tino Sunseri, who led the Big Ten points per game, 41.3 points per game at Indiana. What do you guys think? Tino Sunseri at UCLA going to the West Coast.
Yeah, Tino Sinceri, brother of Vinny, as Becky and I know. Here, Becky, you go ahead first. I know you're way more plugged into the West Coast guys.
Yeah, no, I love this hire. This is great. This is an A+. It's an A. Tino Sunseri, he's young. He's a great recruiter. They're already starting to see dividends for his recruiting at UCLA. They need this. He's innovative. He's smart. He comes from a great coaching tree. And, they've got playmakers at UCLA. I think people always get somehow UCLA always has dudes. They just have random dudes. They don't have a ton of dudes, but they got dudes. They've got probably 3 or 4 NFL players on that offensive roster right now, and who are probably going to be Pro Bowlers and all pros, and you just wouldn't know it. I love this. And Eric Bieniemy tried to bring in a professional offense. Can't do it. Didn't run it well. And left. He said it was, oh, yeah, I only had this job. I only wanted it for a year. No, he got fired. We can admit he got fired. I love it. Sunseri is bringing everything. He's going to bring a great dynamic offense. He's going to bring a smart play calling pedigree. But the only thing that I worry about with this is the quarterback position. Obviously at UCLA, they don't have the dude at quarterback, but let's see what he does to coach these guys up, and let's see what he comes up with to help his guy be great on the field. So, like I said, I love this hire. This is probably the best hire in the conference, in my opinion.
Yeah, as far as the A hire, I would concur. I mean, not even just what he did at Indiana, but he, like you said, Moan, with other guys, he's a young, up-and-coming, highly regarded coach, and this is his shot. UCLA, they're one of the teams, like Becky mentioned it, they'll always or almost always be in like a top 25, top 30 recruit ranking, yet it doesn't come together on the field. I really hope he's able to turn that around, but man, I mean, we remember the good UCLA teams at the end of the Pac-12, Dante Moore and Jake Bobo. They had some really good offenses, and they have talent to be able to replicate that kind of success. I hope he does bring something fresh and new and really turns around the perception of UCLA football, because all the ingredients are there to at least be a middle-of-the-road Big Ten team. So definitely an A hire.
Yeah, I'm going to give this a B. Simply because, I mean, listen, as far as replacing Eric Bieniemy was terrible there at UCLA. Now, to be fair, he did not have a lot of talent. I will say this of Tino. You're worried about the quarterback there. He took a MAC quarterback last year and ended up using that MAC quarterback to score 41.3 points a game and take Indiana to its first 10-win season and a playoff berth that nobody saw coming. So I'm giving him credit there. My only fear is he is young. He will make some mistakes. He might get a little too aggressive. He might force some stuff. I think there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve for him. So, and he's going to face some tough defenses. They had a pretty good schedule for Indiana this year. I think he's going to face tougher defenses there at UCLA. But happy to have him back on the West Coast. He seems to be a West Coast kind of guy. So good for him. Good for the Bruins. A fantastic firing by the Bruins. By the way, we'll give that firing an A, but the hire, I'm giving it a B. I'd like to see a little more. Moving across town.
I'm curious.
Go ahead.
Oh. No, I said I'm curious. The quarterback room at UCLA is going to be insane. they don't have. I mean, they've got former NFL quarterback Matt Hasselbeck's son on that roster. They've got a senior who's transfer. They've got a transfer coming in. Justin Martin transferred. He was there. Like, it's a brand new quarterback room, guys. This is going to be a weird UCLA year. Very weird. It's just going to be a weird one for him. That's all.
All right, moving across town to the crosstown rivals, USC Trojans. Josh Henson is out as offensive coordinator. Luke Heward gets promoted to offensive coordinator. He's been with the program for the last 4 years. He was instrumental in flipping five-star quarterback Houston Longstreet to USC after they lost their previous five-star to Colorado. He's also going to be tasked with trying to get this new starter, Jaden Maivia, up and running, as it were, and get him a little more polished. What do you guys think of this hire of or promotion for Luke Heward at USC?
Real quick, Becky, is this the Hewards that I'm thinking of?
It is the Hewards you're thinking of. That's the younger brother.
So if you know Brock and Damon Heward from old Pac-12 days and sometime in the NFL, they actually played in high school about 8 miles from where I'm sitting right now in Washington State. And I wasn't certain that he was their relative, but it makes perfect sense. It's Lincoln Riley's offense. I'm sure he's a good coordinator. I'm sure he's a good recruiter. Riley's going to call plays. So as far as that goes, okay, I'll give it a B. I mean, USC kind of took a step back on offense last year, but ultimately it's going to flow through Riley. So if he keeps doing his recruiting thing and coaching guys up in practice, great. Yeah, right. USC, it's been the defense. The problem is still the defense. The problem will continue to be the defense until morale improves. So it's a B hire, but USC's got all sorts of other problems going
on. Look, their offense was at times it disappeared. I know it's Lincoln Riley's offense, but Lincoln Riley's offense relies on a mobile quarterback. They finally switched quarterbacks. They were much better. And I think Luke Heward's, again, a really talented recruiter. I mean, they got to get more out of the current quarterback, Maivia. Got to. I like this. It's a B for me, only because he's just running the offense that Lincoln Riley wants to run. But he's a great recruiter. And he's a great guy. He works really, really well with other quarterbacks. And to put it out there, like he brought in a former five-star quarterback, his nephew Sam. Sam Heward is there now after stints at Washington, Cal Poly, Utah. So, hopefully he gets something out of it. Like I said, I think the offense is perfectly conditioned for success. Everybody brings up the defense. Their defense was actually greatly improved last year. And they've got guys coming in. They had some guys leave. But this is just a par for the course hire for me. So, but a B, because they can still be better.
Okay. I am going to give this hire a B as well. I know a lot of people want to bag on the defense at USC, but you remember back to that Michigan game this season. That defense was containing Michigan very, very well up until the end, and it was entirely the offense that couldn't get stuff done. So Miller Moss came in with a lot of high hoopla last year. I'm giving this a B higher mostly because of his recruiting ability. USC lost a ton of people to the portal this offseason. A lot of those five stars of Lincoln Riley signed when he first got there, they have left. They have left the program. So this was very good for him to go get Houston Longstreet in the 2025 class. I don't think they'll start him this year. I think he will get the year riding the pine a little bit to learn the college speed and college offense that they have set up. But you never know. Maivia, he's got to come out and do really well in the first 4 games. I think they're going to give him about a 4-game leash before they pull him and put somebody else in. So we'll see. I give it a B. not the worst, but I think they may have been able to do a little bit better as far as offensive play calling.
Yeah.
Moving on to the Washington Huskies, who replace a lot of people. Brennan Carroll, former offensive coordinator, follows his father to the Las Vegas Raiders. Steve Belichick, former defensive coordinator, follows his father to the North Carolina Tar Heels. Jimmy Doherty is promoted to offensive coordinator. Ryan Walters, the former head coach at Purdue, is brought on as the defensive coordinator. What do you guys are Washington fans. You can go ahead and let your homer flag fly. What do you guys think?
Here, I'll give mine quick, and then Becky can unleash heck on all of this. Jimmy Doherty, I'm giving it a C. I'm completely underwhelmed. It's not that you had to sign the flashiest guy in the universe. Jed Fish is still calling plays. It's ultimately his offense. Same situation as Riley at UCLA. But you needed a guy to kind of stabilize. Like Brennan Carroll, he was primarily an offensive line coach and recruiter. That was his job. So that's kind of what you're looking to replace. I'm not impressed. Ryan Walters, however, as bad as Purdue was, as bad as it was as a head coach, this is an A hire to me. Absolutely. You had multiple successful stops as a defensive coordinator. And I think, although they're going to have to change systems, it's very different than Steve Belichick's. Washington does have defensive talent, and they signed some good guys out of the portal, like Tacario Davis, top-rated corner from Arizona. I really think he can – it might take a year to kind of stabilize and adjust to things, but I think he can get a better result out of the talent they have than they did last year. So A hire for me.
I like both hires. Let me tell you why. Jim Doherty, he's not calling plays, but do you guys know what his pedigree is? He's a Harbaugh guy. He's a Harbaugh guy. He coached with Harbaugh at San Diego before he moved up to the FBS level. He's also been at San Jose State, and he was at Michigan. Obviously, UCLA wide receiver coach. Arizona, he was the passing game coordinator while Fish was there. And he was the passing game coordinator while at Washington, and he still coaches the quarterbacks. He is absolutely the right hire for this. Nothing changes for him on what he's got to do. This is a great hire. He just now has more game plan on the running side of things and doing that. Ryan Walters, though, is key. Because Washington's defense was 26th in the nation last year. It's not like it's bad, but they do need to clean up. They're 26th in the nation, but they were like number 3 against the pass. They have got to clean up the run defense. I think Ryan Walters will do that. Everywhere Ryan Walters goes, the run game is really like you can't run the ball on them. Purdue is the one place, but he was the head coach. It's not like he's sitting there doing the defense and calling it. He didn't do any of that while there. It's an A hire on Walters because he was so sought after. I think a lot of teams wanted to hire him. Doherty, just a B, simply because they're not doing anything. But the key here is Walters. Doherty is not changing anything. Everything stays the same. But Walters changes everything because it's a completely new defensive scheme and a completely new defensive style and philosophy. This is going to be great. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. I am giving the Daughtry hire a C, simply because Pickles already mentioned it. He's a Harbaugh guy. I don't know that the Harbaugh style of offense can win games, but it can only win games if you have an elite defense. And I will say this, Ryan Walters, I think, is the best hire out of all these teams. Ryan Walters, when he was the defensive coordinator at Illinois, it was incredible what he did with the limited talent that they had on that roster. Going out to Washington, there's some elite talent there in the Pacific Northwest. You guys are well aware Ohio State's been taken from there for quite a few years now.
We don't want to talk about it.
But I think Ryan Walters will be fantastic there. Not a good head coach, Did not do well at Purdue. I'm not going to hold that against him. I think he's a fantastic defensive coordinator. I think this is the best hire of the Big Ten coaching cycle.
Yeah, I think it may not be a home run right away, but all the ingredients are there. And with respect to our Boilermaker friends, he's got way better ingredients to work with defensively at Washington compared to Purdue.
Absolutely. And you saw that safety that he coached up for Purdue last year who entered the transfer portal. The man knows how to coach secondary, so he can get it done. We got one more team here, the Wisconsin Badgers. Phil Longo was, of course, let go after I think there were only 3 games left in the season last year, 3 or 4 games left in the season. They bring in Jeff Grimes as their offensive coordinator from the Kansas Jayhawks. And Jeff Grimes, he is definitely a run-first guy. He is kind of the antithesis of, what Phil Longo was. Phil Longo was just air raid guy, had no air raid talent, had Jeff Grimes talent. They bring in Jeff Grimes. They did extend, we will go ahead and include this, they did extend Luke Fickell by 1 more year onto his contract through 2032. Grimes has history at BYU, Baylor, most recently at Kansas. He did a fantastic job last year with Kansas. And Neal had some, record-setting games there. So what do you guys think of Jeff Grimes taking over at offensive coordinator? And I'll also allow you to grade Luke Fickell.
Grimes, coming from Kansas, that's a team that, Kansas the last couple of years has gotten more than the sum of their parts on offense. They put up a good fight. Just ask our good friend Bomber about Kansas being a thorn in people's side. Obviously, they're trying to return to run the ball, old style Wisconsin. The air raid was not working. So I will grade it a B because the talent I think is far more suited to that. Luke Fickell, I'm not even going to grade this with a letter grade on the extension because I just don't understand it. The dude has probably, between him and Franklin, the 2 hottest seats in the conference, in my opinion, and you extend him a year for why? I don't know. It didn't make sense to me at all. So Wisconsin, keep doing Wisconsin things, but it's a solid hire.
Look, Fickell has been getting nothing but heat from former players, alumni, everything. Why? Run the damn ball is all you hear. So here's the thing. Kansas averaged 5.5 yards per carry last year in the Big 12. Mm-hmm. That's I think it was 3rd. They averaged almost 30 points per game. Now that ranked 10th. So they're not going to score a lot of points. It's not what he wants to do. But when you're running the ball at 6 yards a clip, you're not scoring a ton of points. It means they're not either because you have the ball all day. I like the hire. I think it's I'm giving it a B only because it took them half a season to kind of get going. They were 2-6 at one point. People forget that. They were 2-6 at one point. And then they went on a tear through the Big 12 and made everybody's life miserable. But I give him a B. Fickell, it's a D. Why are you giving him another year? Now, I'll say this. The schedule that he has coming up this year, there's no way Fickell makes a bowl game. None. That schedule is brutal, insane. And if Wisconsin managed to go 8-4, you could actually have an argument they should be in the playoff.
If Wisconsin makes a bowl game next year, extend him again.
Yeah, you'll have to extend him. It's just, I think they're basically tossing this season out. That's what it feels like. It's a toss out. You know what? We know it's going to suck. We know you're going to be bad this year. So we'll give you another year. I don't like it, but it is what it is. But like I said, Jeff Grimes, it wasn't impressive at Kansas, but it did the job. And he's going to bring that to the Big Ten. Better talent, better scheme. If quarterback can just play halfway decent, they have a shot here. I have no faith that he will, but I do think the running game is going to still be better because them Wisconsin boys eat, and Wisconsin boys are big, and the Wisconsin boys on the line can block. That's all they do. That's all they do.
Absolutely. I am giving the Jeff Grimes hire a B myself. I think you're getting back to Badger basics. That's why it's a B. Get the glass eaters up front to push people around and run the damn ball. This team, if you remember, they played number 1 Oregon. They more than likely should have won that game. They just could not. Their quarterback play was just atrocious. They were gashing and getting huge runs up against the Oregon Ducks defense. And that, if you forget, that was the number 1 team in the country going into the playoffs last year. Undefeated Big Ten champ in their first season. And Wisconsin played them to the limit. There were several close games last year that Wisconsin just couldn't get it done just because of the quarterback play. You're going back to the original style offense, the Barry Alvarez system of run the damn ball. I like the hire. As far as the Luke Fickell extension, I know these guys don't like it. I'm giving that a B. I know Wisconsin fans are probably screaming expletives at the screen right now and hitting thumbs down on the YouTube video. But listen, the guy has taken a team to the college football playoffs. He's the only guy prior to the 12-team playoff to take a G5 team to the college football playoffs. He's a good coach. He made a mistake with Phil Longo. He wanted to try and revolutionize what Wisconsin had. He could not get the talent necessary to put in that type of offense, and it showed. He had some bad luck with Van Dyke going down first game of the year last year. So I think it's a good thing. One, you're getting him cheap, and it lowers your buyout. So I don't have a problem with that Luke Fickell thing.
I get all the positives, Moen, but you already had 6 years left on his deal. Why do you have to do it at all?
That's the only reason why I gave it a D. I think Moen's a secret gopher. That's what the Badger fans are saying. Moen's a secret gopher. He wants them to fail.
Yeah, it's not that I think Luke Fickell isn't some terrible coach, and a hire like this could turn it around because you're totally changing your philosophy. But the extension makes no sense, where you're kind of at a turning point where you need to see, again, granted, they have a terrible schedule in front of them, but if you could put together a half-decent season with some reason for optimism, I get it. Why tack on a year? You're already paying him for 6 more years. It's crazy to me.
I will put it this way. I think it's almost like a rookie deal in the NFL. You're getting another year on the cheap.
I guess.
Less. The buyout is still going to continue to go down every year. So I think they have faith in Fickell. I know the fans don't see it. But again, Luke Fickell's a very good coach. He took a team to the playoffs. All right, guys. So that's our grades on the offensive and defensive coordinator hires here in the Big Ten. Let us know what you guys think in the comments section. Give us a thumbs up if you agree. Give us a thumbs down if you disagree. Go ahead and cuss me out, Wisconsin Badger fans, for saying I like the Fickell extension and that it's just because Fickell was an Ohio State guy. But
Ryan Willie is furiously typing as we speak.
Ryan Willie is furiously typing. You're right. Again, I would say, I think this Wisconsin-Minnesota could be the new 10-year war. Fleck and Fickell do not like each other. This could be the new 10-year war in the Big Ten, and I'm all for it. For myself, for Sergeant Pickles, for Becky Go Huskies, want to thank everybody for joining us. There'll be more Big Ten Mafia videos in the future.